We all know this kind of big disaster scenario by now, not only having lived through a real pandemic, but zombie movies and other apocalyptic stories like one I reviewed last year, Leave the World Behind. But Station 11 doesn't feel like you're being hurled through a horrible cataclysmic event, even though one certainly happens in this novel. For such a dark scenario, there's a coziness to it, an elegance and grace that makes it a pleasure to read. I didn't want it to end. Like watching an enormous snowstorm from a faraway building, you still feel safe. Safe enough to notice its awesome power and incredible beauty. Welcome to my series, Book Tastings, a unique book review that aims to appreciate, not rate. Minimal spoilers ahead for the novel, Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. I know there's a great HBO series based on this book that came out fairly recently, but here I'd like to focus on Mandel's wonderful writing, especially how she handles science fiction and horror themes with distinct warmth and nuance that shines in this book and in her other recent work. First, a quick description of the novel. A deadly pandemic, the Georgian flu, spreads across the planet and ends modern life as we know it. Kirsten and Jivan are among the few survivors left. They remember the world before and hold on to pieces of it through their connection with each other, a mysterious comic book about space-traveling humans, and a traveling theater group forming a small, struggling but resilient community. You can feel it gathering. Then it comes in full force and leaves behind a battered landscape as you watch from a distance, in terror and fascination. But that distance is not used to lessen or ignore the terrible things happening. That distance gives you a profound sense of the tragedy in the depths of the silences, the parts not described in detail, which are presented nonetheless. This feels both immeasurable and merciful, and the details of the people and the places that the story does focus on are so precise. One small detail in particular stayed with me long after I read the novel. It's when Miranda, an executive at a shipping company who is also a comic book artist, remembers her earlier years working in an office. How she loved working there. How calm and soothing it was in the clean, well-designed interior. How the skyscraper's windows overlooked the city and lake. These details are crucial because there is actually so much love in this story for the present world. For humanity's significant achievements, like theater, music, and art, things not usually associated with survival. Because survival is insufficient, is written on the Traveling Symphony's lead caravan as they tour the remnants of civilization, giving performances of Shakespeare. Despite the relentless struggles of this much harsher world, art and hope and kindness persist. Because we choose to value them, to uphold them. What would we be otherwise? Simply surviving can be a cold and lonely goal. So is greed for power, so destructive. But in continuing the good that came before, we are never alone. We build on truth and beauty together.